Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Richa Dwivedi Saklani. Mrs. Richa, how are you
That's
doing,
right.
man?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm really excited to be on this show, Timitope.
And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. Firstly, you are a career coach. You are also an entrepreneur and a dreamer philosopher. Can you please, Mrs. Richa, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, Mrs. Richa?
Right. So, about myself, perhaps I can tell you why I'm in this field of career guidance. So I grew up in an environment. India is a very STEM focused environment. So when I grew up, everybody who was a good student was expected to either study medicine or engineering, and I really wanted to do neither one of those. And so, I ended up doing an MBA, and that didn't make so much sense to me either. It's like I was working as a stock analyst, and I was like, but do I really care whether stock prices are going up or down? And so it took me a long time to say that, okay, let me break away and find what I really want, right? I was 27 at the time, and I started working with students. I was just doing some coaching for entrance exams, some math coaching, but I loved working with students, and I was doing some corporate training, and I loved working with people, and all of that came together to inspire me to create an organization that helps people find the work that they love, find work that makes them get out of bed in the morning. And so it's been 20 years now that I started this business, a little over 20 years, larger vocabulary of the options that they have, and then sort of help them figure out why a particular track makes sense to you more than the other. So rather than saying that if everybody's doing engineering, I should do engineering, but saying that where am I likely to be more successful, what do my skills fit. So that's what I've been doing for 20 years now. And I run a career and college guidance firm. I'm based in Gurgaon, which is sort of like a satellite city to Delhi. And so that's it. I live here with my husband and two children and two dogs that you heard. So that's it.
Very much beautiful, Mrs. Richa, from area that you actually begin more lower and actually operating now for more than 20 years, doing a lot of things to actually improve the life of students, the young adults, and also other people that are out there to make their life more better as well. And also from the experience you've had, Mrs. Richa, I would like to ask if you've written any book or if you are planning to write any book in the coming future, Mrs. Richa.
So I've written two books. One is called The Ultimate Guide to 21st Century Careers, which is on Amazon. They're both on Amazon. So this one I'd written in 2017, and I'll quickly just show you the book so you'll know what it is. So it sort of puts together my philosophy about how one approaches career choice. And the second book which I've written now is about the same thing. It's about different careers, but this time from the lens of AI and synthetic biology and mixed reality and all the new technologies that we are worried about, that how will it impact the world. So the book sort of examines that.
Exactly. It's examine more of the position of the bulb, which is the ultimate guide to prove your career, which also shows every areas when it comes to our career, our growth, and also how we can build ourselves as well. And your book also challenges the fear that AI, which is the artificial intelligence, will simply replace human workers. How can students and also professionals begin seeing technology as a career partner rather than a threat, Mrs. Richard?
Right. Actually, if you see, what AI is really replacing right now are jobs that require a lot of repetitive and kind of purely logical thinking, right? Like it's like, if you look at software programmers, people who are doing data entry or collating databases, collating information, analyzing data with a given set of parameters, right? So that's the stuff that AI is able to almost completely take over, right? But if you look at some of the other fields, most of them are augmented by AI. not replaced by AI, not substituted, but augmented. For example, if you look at um, an investment analyst, right? Now, a lot of the analysis of the data, which he would probably spend a lot of time on earlier, we can all be done by AI at the touch of a button. So he probably needs a thinner team of people supporting him. But then, what do you do with those trends, and what sense do you make of them? How do you connect them with the current politics? Do you connect them with historical movements of stocks and data? Now, for that, do they actually, do you advise them to hold or sell, or acquire more of that stock? So that judgment is also part of the human set of skills. So I feel that AI is actually going to augment a lot of our creativity. What can we do? What new ideas can we create? What new markets can we go into? What new products can we have up there? How many books can I write in a year? Right? Because a lot of writers today will take the help of AI to do research which would have otherwise taken them months, right? So it does enhance human creativity and human productivity, and in the long run, I feel that there is a lot of positive growth for human capability that can come out of it. Of course, in the short run, it's a bit unnerving, but I do think that the whole story is not that humans will suddenly not have jobs and all the jobs will be done by AI, but the story is that AI will be doing the jobs that are more boring and mind numbing, and human beings will be doing the jobs that are more creative and exciting and fun.
Exactly. I think you actually brought the light to the point of artificial intelligence. When people in our time hear artificial intelligence, they say it is the future, which is absolutely true. But for us to understand that artificial intelligence isn't taking everything away from us, our intelligence, our creativity, our emotions is very profoundly huge and beautiful as well. Artificial intelligence can do the little that we find very much boring, as you said earlier, things that we find more, more concerning or difficult to do at times. It could do it for us more easily, but there are more that we can actually do when it comes to artificial intelligence, which is not really capable, like the sense of creativity, like the sense of actually the point where you said having a stock, when to buy, when to sell, when to hold. All those areas actually need to come from a human perspective, which shows the beauty of how artificial intelligence can evolve in its own way and how humans can actually direct their focus on a different phase in their life as well. I would also like to drive to the point as AI reshapes roles across different industries. Which human abilities do you believe will become even more valuable? And why will machines struggle to replace them? Mrs. Richard.
Right. So, I have been thinking about this, and there's a research that sort of shows that AI actually enhances or sort of um, throws light on what is purely a human capability, right? So, what is it that human beings bring to the table that machines cannot easily substitute? So, one of the primary ones is curiosity, right? So if you see, AI answers questions, right, and it can put together a beautiful article or analysis, but the curiosity is ours. It's human curiosity. So we are framing the question. We're saying, what do I want to know, and this is how I want to know it, and then AI is being able to answer it, right? But being able to ask a question, like what would happen if we were to, what, that is it possible for me to wear really light clothes in a very very cold environment, right, in a world where all material was really really thick if you wanted to be in a cold environment? So just to ask that question, that is it possible for me to feel light and to feel warm at the same time, right? Or to ask a question like, what if people didn't have to pay for hotels but could live in people's houses, especially during rush season when hotel prices are really high? And asking that kind of question is not what AI would do. AI wouldn't sit and think, oh, I'm struggling with this, why don't we do this? AI is trying to solve a problem that we pose to them, or answer a question that we give to AI. So that curiosity, and I'll go so far as to call it creativity, right? That curiosity that leads to creativity is, I think, purely human, right? I also feel that there is a type of creativity which is human, which AI cannot easily replace. So, for instance, if you look at art, let's say, or movies, I think movies is a big one, right? If you see movies that really blow your mind, I am yet to hear of anyone who could have created a storyline that could really blow somebody's mind, and some of the stories that you see recently that are so exciting, and that really catch your, or maybe a character like Spider-Man that that could really pick everybody, grab people's attention no matter what their age and what their nationality. I'm yet to see AI to be able to create ideas and stories and characters that are so unique. Even if you look at writing, nowadays I feel there is a lot of AI generated writing that is floating around on the internet. And because I work in career counseling, I see student work a lot. Students are writing essays and research papers, and sometimes they're writing for essay contests, and then they're writing college essays. And we have now learned to just pick that essay out that is written by AI. It's neat, it's full of the right terminology and the right data, but it just lacks that soul and that human struggle and that human desire for expression. And that's not something that AI can easily substitute, right? So I don't see anyone being highly engaged by a story written by AI. What would they write about? you know on the other hand, I feel that it's possible for a painter to use AI to create an amazing bit of art. But AI by itself would not have created Starry Nights, right? But you could have had a painter saying that, okay, make those lights really bright, make those lights really big, put it in this way, fill the sky with stars. But then it's the painter using the AI to create the painting, and not the AI creating the painting. So that human creativity is something that I don't feel that AI is anywhere close to so far. We don't know what the future will bring, but right now we are really far away from that. Then I think one of the most important things that I want to emphasize is judgment. I feel that AI can give you a lot of analysis, and often it'll give you analysis in the direction that you ask it to give you. So you say that, should I do this? And it might say, oh, I'm not sure you should do this. But then you say, but these are the reasons why I want to do it. And immediately it'll agree with you. It'll say, yeah, now that you say it, perhaps you are right. Perhaps this is the right thing for you. But you could have framed the whole thing to AI in the completely opposite way, and it would be agreeing with you there as well. So actually what you need to do, that human judgment still belongs to you, right? So I would think that these are the three things that really come to my mind: that curiosity, creativity, and judgment, which I think is a human thing. Of course, a lot of people also talk about empathy, which sort of lies behind the judgment and the creativity and the curiosity, the empathy with another human being, to be able to, let's say, answer a question for a doctor like, should this person be put through aggressive cancer treatment, or should we prioritize their quality of life? Now that's a question which is also rooted in empathy, which again human beings bring to the picture. So I think human beings are amazing beings that cannot easily be replaced by this artificial intelligence. However, it's struggling to replace us, but I think it's a long way away.
You actually made a very huge and profound point, which goes back to curiosity, creativity, ideas. All those things are what artificial intelligence are not developed to do. They are only developed for solutions. How we can actually use it for something that can actually give us the answers that we actually need. Which shows that creativity is something human are developed to do, and we can actually use the tool, which is the artificial intelligence, as a source for us to provide more details, to also give us more experience for us to actually know the right thing to do as well. And also, Mrs. Richa, I would like to drive to the point of areas where many students are in a position whereby they are preparing for jobs. that may change significantly before they graduate. That is the courses that they study and stuff like that. How should education, how do you think they should evolve to help them build adaptable careers instead of training for only one fixed role? Mrs. Richard.
Right. I do think that education needs to evolve to keep up with this. And recently the OECD has also published a few reports about lifelong learning and how education needs to move towards lifelong learning. But I think one significant change that we need is that our education needs to build in some career education into the senior years. Right now, students are still really studying math and physics and science and history, which is all very useful for them in the long run. But being able to study something like law or media, or to be able to study, let's say, something like sports management or event management, or to build skills and to just understand what careers there are. Having a curriculum where you can explore 4 or 5 different options even before you finish school, so that you can hit the workforce with an understanding of skills that are needed in the workforce rather than theoretical knowledge. So I feel our education system came out of very much the industrial revolution, where a lot of knowledge was needed and then people were taught the skills when they got into work. But today you need skills that cannot be taught to you by someone. So you need problem solving skills, and you need skills of persuading people, and you need the skills of taking an intelligent risk. And those skills cannot really be taught. Those skills have to be learned through experience, and education should build those type of workplace skills as well into it. So I think that's one of the main things. The other thing I feel that education needs to change is that, in a sense, formal education stops in our early 20s. But given the pace of change today, people want to rethink who they are. And given longevity, the today's generation, my children are, their whole generation is expected to have a lifespan of over 100 years, right? An average lifespan, which is really much longer than ours. So they would want to change their career and to reskill. So the whole thing about creating reskilling opportunities and universities, imagine if we could go back to college in our 30s when we are done with the first 10, 15 years, or we send our kids to college and we say, now I can go to college as well and look at my next career. So I think that too is something that education can bring in.
Exactly, Mrs. Richa. It shows that the education system needs to be reformed in some certain areas due to the change and the developments we've seen so far in the world we find ourselves. As you said earlier, sports management, something that actually goes with management, something that actually goes with a source, whereby the artificial intelligence isn't possible to actually use as a source of solution to the world we find ourselves. So all those little criteria that deals with managing, that deals with ideas, that deals with curiosity, that deals with creativity, that deals with us actually being in the position to do things more physically. Those actually plays a very huge role for one to actually use that as a source of study, so that by the time they go out, artificial intelligence won't be the solution to what they've actually studied as well, which is not actually helpful most of the time. And I would also like to drive to the point of areas whereby someone who feel anxious or uncertain about the future of work. What practical steps do you think they can take today to identify opportunities, work effectively with AI, and create a career that remains meaningful and relevant? Mrs. Richard.
Right. So I do think that a lot of youth feel anxious about possible work opportunities. And I think that the smart young person is someone who actually delves into it, like rolls up their sleeves and say, let me see where the opportunities are. So often what people are doing is that they're saying that, oh, I studied, let's say, psychology, or that, let's say, I've studied graphic design, or let's say I've studied law, and but those jobs that I had hoped to apply for, those don't really seem to be huge jobs anymore. Now what do I do? The thing to do is to say that, who needs my skills, and where do the jobs for my skills lie? And so you need to do a deeper search. Like, if I talk to young people today, I find a lot of them saying that I applied for 300 jobs before I got my first job, right? And you have to have the stamina and the resilience to really be able to take that on and to say, let me hunt and find those people who are looking for me. And even in the process of the job search, certification along the way. Maybe you learn that a portfolio needs to be showcased in such a way. So my advice to young people will be that you are really at the cusp of a huge transition in the world, and so you will face the brunt of that struggle a little bit. So be prepared for it. My second piece of advice is entrepreneurship. I feel that a world that is so technology enabled really creates space for a lot of new ideas. So I feel that whether you are in a job or whether you are outside a job, you still have the opportunity to create something new. So if you create something, that's something some people can't just create something that's useful for society, that people like, and there's traction around the product or the idea that the service you create. Now that's something that can't easily be taken away from you. So bring your creativity and your entrepreneurial skills to the floor. So I would say resilience, optimism, and entrepreneurship. That's what I'd say. Enterprise. So resilience, enterprise, and I would really say optimism. That's very important, and I think that that's something that would really get people to move forward. So I would say that, know that there is a lot of new opportunities. I read this really beautiful bit of research recently which said that economist David Autor, he wrote a report that cited that 60% of, so BCG's I'm sorry, I read a report by Goldman Sachs. This was Goldman Sachs report which quoted this economist, and he cited that 60% of today's workers are employed in occupations that didn't exist in 1940. Right? So you can think about the social media strategist. There are so many jobs that simply didn't, or even the software programmers, and the IT network managers. There were so many jobs that did not exist in 1940. So what they're saying is that more than 85% of employment growth in the last 80 years is explained by technology driven creation of new positions. So what they're saying is that actually technology will create new jobs, and there are new opportunities that are coming up, and keep your eye on those new opportunities, rather than saying I can no longer get a job as a stenographer, which was a job at one time. There were so many typists that were working all along and helping people, but those jobs disappeared. Similarly, people who were assembly line workers, who were essentially putting things, those jobs did disappear. Similarly, data entry jobs have almost disappeared and will disappear in the world today. So rather than being attached to what is disappearing, look at the fact that many new opportunities will get created, because as the world evolves with the new technology, a lot of new stuff will come up. It's like, imagine a caveman thinking about what job they can do. They could have no conception that you could make money like a consultant. Like, you don't really do anything, you consult people, but you make money. Or as a lawyer, like, you argue someone's case and you make tons and tons of money, right? So there's new stuff that's coming up, and rather than us mourn what is already on the way out, let's look at what's out there and really build our resilience like that and our optimism like that. That's what I would say.
And I also appreciate you for the wonderful encouragement as well, because when someone listens and say artificial intelligence, people just believe that it's just the future. It's taking a lot of work. It's taking a lot of, activities that one do more easily. Something that could take someone an hour, a day, even a month. Artificial intelligence can actually do it within, let me just say, 2 minutes, which shows the power of it as well. But despite how it is, we should always remember we are the one who has the source of skills. And that is why I am so glad you brought out the position of one actually owning a skill and actually bringing out some certain question he or she needs to ask. Who are the one who wants this thing I am doing? Who are the ones who actually need to do it? And let us know how to modernize it to a certain stage whereby it cannot be in the stage of something that artificial intelligence can actually do very easily. So all these little things are what we actually need to consider when it comes to our growth and also what we are trying to build as well. And also to remember that every development, even the one that we have currently now, actually proves that there will be more and more development in the world to find ourselves. There will be more growth, there will be more jobs, and also every other things will actually come out as well. And also your book as well, which is Job 2.0, the ultimate guide as well, which actually brought that insight and also areas as well. Mrs. Richa, there is a question that I normally ask during the end of the show from our forefathers, from our ancestors. There are a lot of beautiful things that do exist during our forefathers' time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Richa, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Richa?
That's an interesting question. You're saying something from our forefathers' time that I would like to bring back today. So, I think it would be the outdoors. It would be just free time in the outdoors. I think that's something that doesn't exist so much in developed cities and developed countries today, and even developing countries like India. The pace of life is really really fast, and you don't get time to just hang and stare at clouds and make stories, and or play in the breeze and run with the clouds. You don't really get a chance to do that. Well, the radio maybe, and a family sitting around the radio and listening, because in today's world, we are all watching our own content on our own devices. So we don't really watch content in a shared way. But there was a time when a family would sit around a radio or a television set, and everybody would watch the same thing. So there was that community bonding, which I think was really lovely, and I think that that's something that we don't have anymore, and I'd love to bring that back.
Exactly. The device have taken a lot of attention away from the physical parts. And most of the time, we need to try our best not to make that happen because we should always remember that we are humans with emotions. Family is one of the greatest source of that. We need people around us. And the first person who can actually show that sense of interest is a sense of family, a sense of a place of community, a sense of a place where we feel belonging as well. All these areas plays a very huge role because despite how we are, despite the challenges, we can actually see someone who can actually put us through, make us better, and also improve our life as well. I also want to use this opportunity to thank you for the time and the opportunity for us to have this profound and insightful conversation today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Richard.
Thank you, Temitope. Thank you again for the opportunity. Love chatting with you, and I hope we can continue this conversation at another time as things keep changing. Hope to stay in touch. Thank you so much.
All right, have a wonderful day, Mrs. Richard. Bye bye.
Bye.